Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty, and Robert Paris, Peter Brown with the weather, Gretchen Carey with the community calendar, and Liz Gillespie with sports. Thank you for joining us. After a lengthy meeting last week, the Board of Selectmen voted to approve a proposed small cell 5G facility on a pole on Mall Road in the vicinity of Leahy Hospital. The application was put forward by AT&T. There were multiple topics of discussion surrounding the proposal, and in the end, the board voted to approve the project with a lengthy number of conditions created in response to concerns from the board members, other town employees, and members of the public. One aspect that was not up for consideration was possible health or environmental impacts of the technology. Board Chair Jimmy Tigas started the meeting with an explanation of why by explaining that due to the Federal Communications Act of 1996, local governments cannot regulate this type of facility based on environmental or health effects. The first big decision was the exact location of the pole. Originally, the proposal was to have a pole with a light fixture, but after consideration, it was decided to have it forego the lights and be placed in between existing light fixtures. There were 4 options put forward: one in a median in front of Leahy, closer to Cambridge Street, another in a median further to the east, and 2 on the side of the road. After a bit of discussion, the board members voted that the 2 sites in the median were acceptable, with the one further to the east being preferable because it was farther away from a crosswalk than the original site. In the end, the board voted 4-0 to approve the installation of the small cell wireless facility with a number of conditions. The first was that the applicant give priority to the site in the median further to the east, with the second consideration being the original site in the median. If neither site works, the applicant will have to come back before the board. A full list of the other conditions can be found on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Burlington Mall Road has the green light from Mass Development for a zoning effort that will lead the stretch of road into the future. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak went to check out the future project and has this report.
In rebuilding the Burlington economy, town officials are thinking long-term for the Burlington Mall and its namesake, Mall Road.
Mass Development awarded the town of Burlington $85,000 for a site readiness program. And it's really to support the vision and collecting a bold vision for Burlington for the Mall Road corridor, a part of their site readiness program. And the site readiness program is to do the pre-development work that leads to long-term economic growth. And what we're trying to do here in Burlington, specifically along the Mall Road corridor, is imagine ourselves really 50 years from now. And it's the big vision that provides a cohesiveness to all the private and public investments that happen over time. And so this money will allow us to engage with a broad spectrum of stakeholders, our community members, our property owners, our businesses, to see how we can think of ourselves in 50, 60 years from now. We did a great job 50, 60 years ago creating this. We had allocated the spaces for commercial, we preserved our residential, and now we had to think about how we maintain a sustainable Burlington kind of going into the future. And what I see is really exciting about putting a master plan together really for the corridor is it allows us to take another look at how we can move people through this corridor in different options. I mean, it's about walkability, but it's about biking. You know, soon it's going to be about self-driving shuttles. And we have a great network of many uses out here, from residential to hotels and restaurants and retail. And we want to just enhance that through enhanced connectivity, public amenities, and more compact development. But to get there, we need a unified plan, and then we need real street-level implementation. So we need to help craft the right zoning, and that's that land use policy that we talk about. So we're setting the stage for the development we want to see. Right now we have BG zoning primarily, and that's general business zoning that was created almost 50 years ago. So when the mall came in, and it limits us in terms of use and form and how dense we can be. So what we want to do is really update that, consider a new form of zoning. It could be a new form called form-based zoning, which looks at how streets and buildings look versus more about their uses inside. It talks a lot about sharing parking and structured parking and how those kind of work together to create more of a village feel. And you can imagine that, maybe 10, 15 years down the line when people kind of redevelop, part of creating a vision and a kind of a development vision and a master plan, it allows you to think about those public realm investments for a community. And I know when I made this, kind of had been engaging certain community members, there had been discussions about the Riverwalk. And the Riverwalk kind of takes in the natural elements that we have in Burlington, the green space. It opens up some of our streams and kind of maybe considers daylighting some streams and creating more of a greenway or a walkway through some of our corridors. And if you can imagine incorporating that into your long-term plan as private investment comes in, then you can point to what you want to see and then work together to make that happen. At this point, we're going to be trying to establish a steering committee, and we'll be engaging, as I mentioned, kind of the stakeholders, not only residents, but business owners and landowners.
From Burlington Mall Road, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
A big project proposed by Burlington Public Schools took one step forward last week. School department administrators posted on the school website that they are pleased to announce that the Massachusetts School Building Authority Board, the MSBA, voted at the most recent board meeting to invite Burlington Public Schools into its feasibility process to replace the Fox Hill School. School Committee Chair Thomas Murphy joined State Representative Ken Gordon and State Senator Cindy Friedman in thanking the MSBA. According to the blog post, the Fox Hill Elementary School was opened in 1960 and has served Burlington well for many generations. The building itself, however, has become the limiting factor in student learning and does not reflect the talent of the educators working within its classrooms. The MSBA website states that during the feasibility process, the district and its team collaborate with the MSBA to document their educational program, generate an additional space summary, document existing conditions, establish design parameters, develop and evaluate alternatives, and recommend the most cost-effective and educationally appropriate preferred solution to the MSBA Board of Directors for their consideration. During this phase, the owner's project manager will submit on behalf of the district and its designer a preliminary design program and a preferred schematic report. Approval by the MSBA Board of Directors is required for all projects to proceed into schematic design. School officials said they were pleased the project had entered this new phase of the process. However, things won't happen tomorrow, as you all know. Burlington Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts gathered on the town common on April 22nd, Earth Day, to leave messages of inspiration to care for the environment and protect the planet. BNews Director Rich Hosford went to check out the day's events and has this look.
On Thursday, over 24 Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts braved the chilly late April day and gathered on the town common to celebrate a day dedicated to the environment and the health of the planet.
Well, today is Earth Day, April 22nd, and part of the Cub Scout and Girl Scout programs is to help our community, and it doesn't really depend on what that community is. So our community is the world, and we are trying a little bit here to remind everybody that the Earth, there is no planet B. So we're encouraging kids to write messages of hope and messages about the environment on the sidewalks, kind of a mural. And then everybody is planting some food for sustainability and learning about how important plants are to our environment and how important growing our own food locally is. So they're all going to be planting some food.
It was a good turnout despite the weather turning cold and even some falling snow.
The scouts here, I'm very impressed and very proud of each one for coming out in the wind and the snow to show how much they appreciate our community.
One lesson from the day's events is that even small actions can build up to large results if enough people participate.
Well, there's a saying that's think globally, act locally. And Scouts are just trying to learn how to do this. So even though they can't make a huge difference, if everybody makes just one little change or convinces one person to change their habits, including yourself, then we can make a bigger change and make a global impact.
I asked a couple of the Girl Scouts why they thought working to improve the environment is important.
Well, the environment is basically the whole entire Earth, and it's really important about how we use it. Because of pollution, a bunch of trees are dying, and trees give out oxygen. And of course, you probably know that without oxygen, you can't breathe.
Because if people are cutting down trees and not regrowing them, we won't have any trees left. And like Samir said, they give off oxygen. So if we have no oxygen, we won't survive.
And what do they hope people take away from seeing their chalk mural?
I hope that they get motivated and they can start planting trees and flowers and anything to help our environment.
Yeah. Like if someone could even see these and plant one tree in their backyard or something,
Yeah,
that would make
help
like
a
a big difference.
Yeah.
From the Town Common, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, leaving you with the one final message from the Scouts.
Plant a tree in your backyard.
Now.
Thanks, ladies. That's good advice, and happy Earth Day, everyone.
Burlington Library Director Michael Wick is pleased to announce that the Burlington Public Library has been awarded a $3,495 CARES Act grant, made possible with Federal Institute of Museum and Library Services funding and administered by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. Wick remarked how the library has been encouraged by Burlington's artists. The new funding will be used to offer a series of programs called Craft, Create, and Make, Art Exploration with the Burlington Public Library. Classes will include a comics drawing class, henna alchemy, story and art programs for children, adult and teen paint nights, an adult sculpture class in conjunction with the New England Sculpture Association, a program with artists who have work featured at the Burlington Sculpture Park. Library patrons will be able to subscribe to Creative Bug via the library website, which offers a collection of thousands of award-winning art and craft video classes taught by recognized artists as a companion to being taught by local artists and Burlington librarians. Craft, Create, and Make programs will be ongoing throughout the spring and summer. You can learn about and sign up for the programs on the library's website, their Facebook page, and easiest of all, by subscribing to their newsletter to be notified of all library programs each week. Michael Wick noted that these programs are a continuation of the well-received craft programs offered by the library during the last few months, including the recent Burlington Online Quarantine Community Art Project. Have you been binge watching a lot of television during the pandemic? Maybe you've seen The Unicorn on CBS starring Walton Goggins, which just wrapped up its second season. A recent episode of the series was directed by Lauren Hennessy, a member of the BHS class of 2007. BNews entertainment reporter Chris Flaherty spoke with Hennessy on work on the series and her directorial debut. Here's his report.
While practicing social distancing, many of us have binge-watched countless film and television series, both old and new. Perhaps even The Unicorn, a CBS sitcom starring Walton Goggins, which premiered during the fall 2019 broadcast season. If you've been keeping up with the show, you may or may not have noticed a recent episode was directed by a former Burlington resident. Lauren Hennessy, a member of the BHS class of 2007, graduated with a bachelor's in biology from Union College, but found herself gravitating towards filmmaking. She then received her master's in screenwriting at American University in 2014. Hennessy now works as a producer at a production company run by John Hamburg, who is responsible for the creation of films like Meet the Parents, Zoolander, and I Love You Man, and the series The Unicorn.
I've been here for, 4 years producing and wanting to direct, but also sort of doing my regular job of producing his stuff. And the opportunity arose to direct an episode of The Unicorn and sort of kickstart that part of my career. And John directed the pilot. And so we, as John's producing partner, we get a lot of scripts incoming every development season for broadcast for him to direct. And so this was one that we both just responded to. And so he directed the pilot. He continued and did a few more episodes this first season and a couple of the second season, especially with COVID. He decided to come back to sort of keep as many variables straight as possible. So I knew the crew really well and the network and all those people. So I had a nice support system around me for this first directing thing.
Hennessy explained the challenges of directing a large studio production through the COVID-19 pandemic.
I was glad to have had a couple episodes under my belt not directing while John was directing, just to get used to the COVID guidelines. We're very fortunate that CBS put in a lot of time and effort and money into making sure we were safe. It took a little getting used to have eyewear and masks and all that stuff, a lot of projecting. It's a little funny, you're not all in the same room necessarily, your camera operators or maybe remote or depending your setup. So it was a little bit of getting used to, but I had, like I said, a strong support system of crew and that I knew, and the cast was very supportive and encouraging, and it was a great experience in spite of all the COVID protocols.
In the director's chair, Hennessy learned to expect the unexpected during production.
I am a person who likes to be fully prepared, I think even just in the way of how I got to directing. But at the end of the day, no matter how much I prepared, on the day, you're still going to have to throw it out the window and be ready for anything. My episode had dogs, and we had, which are difficult. And obviously there's kids. The actors are very talented, but we had FaceTimes, which we did practically because I think they look much better. There was challenges that you just have to, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how many times you test the Zoom call or the FaceTime, inevitably on the day, when you're an hour behind or whatever the issue is, something's going to go wrong. And so it was a lesson for me of like prepare, and then be ready to throw it out the window.
Back home in Burlington, Hennessy's episode of The Unicorn received rave reviews.
My family still all lives in Burlington. I'm very close with my high school friends still. And so we had a fun little watch party together over Zoom, all my Burlington friends. It was a lot of fun. It feels like kind of weird to be like, it doesn't feel totally real that it was a TV show because I'm living in it right now. So it doesn't feel totally real, like it's like a thing that people at home would have also seen.
While The Unicorn is currently on hiatus, Hennessy hopes to direct more in future, either on the series or other potential projects.
We're, waiting to hear. The broadcast cycle has sort of a pattern of when they'll decide what will go next season. So we're waiting to hear if we'll get a third season on The Unicorn. But if not, whether it's The Unicorn or something else, I'd hope to continue directing, yeah.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty with your BNEWS Entertainment Buzz.
Congratulations, Lauren, another Burlington alumni making their mark in the world. It has been 1 year since the Burlington Fire Department transitioned from offering basic life support to advanced life support. This means each shift has 4 firefighter paramedics and can offer ALS for every medical emergency rather than relying on a third party that might not have responders as close by. It also means they can provide additional medicines and procedures that they could not previously. Fire Chief Mike Pattison said the timing of making the switch right before the pandemic hit was fortuitous. Lieutenant Mark Saya added that having additional capacity was helpful with such an increase in calls that the department has had since the start of the pandemic. He said over 800 residents and visitors to town received advanced life support, all within 5 minutes of calling 911 in the last year. Here he is commenting.
We've really made a difference. Some of the feedback has been just incredibly positive and just humbling. We recently had our 1 year license inspection by Office of Emergency Medical Services, who stated that we were acting as if we have been advanced life support for 10 years, not 10 months. So it's been challenging, but very exciting to move forward with even more technology as we move forward in advancing the program even more. And we just think that the town of Burlington, its residents and visitors are much better off because of the program, and that's thanks to all the support.
Members of the board said they were happy to mark the 1 year anniversary of this achievement and congratulated the department on improving its ability to serve the community. The state legislature is looking to make housing more readily available for Massachusetts residents. It passed Chapter 358 of the Acts of 2020, sometimes referred to as the Economic Development Legislation of 2020, which made several amendments to Chapter 40A of the General Laws, commonly known as the Zoning Act, with the intent of incentivizing communities to make it easier for multifamily housing to be constructed. Recently, the Burlington Planning Board hosted a virtual presentation on the measures given by Town Council Lisa Mead of Mead, Tallerman and Costa, the law firm. She went over the general law changes and the guidelines surrounding the program, though she emphasized that since it just went into place in January, there still are many provisions that needed to be worked out. Some of the big takeaways from the presentation is that the legislation applies to communities connected to the MBTA, such as Burlington, and is meant to generate more housing. There are also changes to the law that would allow the normal 3/5 vote required for zoning bylaw and bylaw changes to be reduced to a simple majority in some cases related to housing. You can find a link to the full presentation on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. In our series, Who Works for Burlington, we talk to town employees not often in the spotlight. Up this time is Burlington Police Department Domestic Violence Detective Anne-Marie Brown. Let's have a look.
In our quest to bring you the stories of town employees not often seen in the news, we bring you the next installment of Who Works for Burlington. Up this time is Burlington Police Department Domestic Violence Detective Anne-Marie Brown. A 31-year veteran with the force, Anne-Marie spent 1 year policing in Reading before transitioning to Burlington in 1990. She started as an officer on the midnight shift before transitioning to days. After a couple of years on the force, Captain George Devlin asked her to assist with domestic violence cases. In that role, she worked with area groups including Leahy Hospital and the Middlesex DA's office and reached beyond domestic violence. In all that time and up to the present, protecting victims has been her mission.
Eventually, I became the domestic violence officer full-time, and with that, I ended up investigating the majority of the sexual assault crimes that occur in town, the child abuse cases that take place, the elder abuse cases. I was handling until Lynn Reynolds took over as senior liaison officer, and the crimes against disabled individuals that live in town. So that's pretty much my catchment area.
Detective Brown said that when working with domestic violence cases, it's all about meeting the needs of the victim and making that person feel comfortable.
You have to go at the pace of the victim. Everybody is different. Everybody handles the situation differently. So we have to be sensitive to where the victim is in their situation. And first of all, you want to build that rapport with that person. And I think right off the bat, people understand and can feel that as an officer that's asking them questions, that you're vested in their situation and truly trying to help them.
She says that once people trust them, they often open up about their situation. That gives authorities the ability to better advise them about what they can do next and choose the option best for them.
You know, I'm a true believer in people that are victims of violent crimes should be advised of what their different options are, and then given the time to decide what works best for them. Sometimes people, will have that conversation with us, and they can go forward immediately. Some people need a couple of months. Some people need a couple of years. So we're always here for them.
Detective Brown said there is always a feeling of accomplishment when they can successfully help a victim.
It's a good feeling to be able to help people in the position that they're in, no matter what that position is, to accomplish what they want accomplished. I think that's the most gratifying thing of this piece of this job, is to make sure that it's accomplished for that person.
Finally, Anne-Marie, who is set to retire soon, said she has loved her time with the Burlington Police Department.
I loved it from day one. Everybody was very, they welcomed with open arms. It was, I've learned, I was a police officer prior to coming here for a short time, but when I came here, it was people that took the time to really explain the job that made me the officer that I am.
So now you know who works for Burlington. We'll be back soon with another edition, so stay tuned.
The modified fall season 2 is coming to a close, but some Red Devil teams are still in the mix. For all the latest, we go to BNews sports reporter Liz Gillespie for this week's sports report.
Hello everyone, I'm Liz Gillespie for your weekly sports report. Fall session 2 is nearing its end and spring sports are just around the corner. Girls and boys track had their final home meet on Saturday, April 18th against the Watertown Red Raiders at Varsity Field. The girls finished the meet with a 74-35 victory over the Red Raiders. The girls end the season with a 2-3 record. The boys finished the year undefeated at 5-0 and are the Middlesex League Freedom Champions. For more on this, we go to BNews sports reporter Robert Paris.
Hey everyone, I'm BNews sports reporter Robert Paris, and we're here at the Burlington High School Varsity Field, where we had a conversation with Coach Matt Carr about his undefeated season for BHS boys indoor track. Another undefeated season is under Coach Matt Carr's belt.
I don't want to say it's what we expected in that I thought we were a team with a lot of challenges this year, but it is always our goal. So it may or may not have been expected that we were going to be 5-0, but it's absolutely our goal. We go into every single season with the expectation that we will be aiming to be undefeated. We don't always hit it, but we actually do it a lot. And when we don't do it, we're disappointed.
One of the many differences from this season was not having a tournament. However, the team was named the Middlesex League champions.
You know, because we didn't have a tournament this season, we didn't have a state meet or even a league championship. That was the only championship we could win. It was nice. If we hadn't won it, we would have been disappointed. We were a little bummed out. We're the 4-time defending state relays champions, and we were certainly looking to win it again. Last year's seniors graduated having won it every season of their careers, and I'm sure this year's seniors were looking to do the same. We just didn't get that chance. It wasn't offered to us.
As we head towards the spring season, Coach Carr is expecting the same result from the team.
Goals are going to be the same. Goals are going to be to win the league championship. We believe there will be a tournament, so our goal will be to win that. I'm on the Mass State Track Coach Association board, and yesterday we sort of finalized our plans for state relays, so we're almost certain those will exist, and our goal is going to be to win those.
From Varsity Field, I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
Girls varsity volleyball headed to Watertown for a game against the Red Raiders on Saturday, April 17th, where they won 3-0 in the sets. The girls finished the regular season in Melrose against the Red Raiders on Monday, April 19th. The team lost all 3 sets against the Red Raiders. Burlington finishes the regular season 7-2. Their season didn't stop there, as they clinched a playoff spot in the Middlesex League tournament. They hosted the Arlington Spy Ponders on Tuesday, April 20th, and we have some highlights.
The Burlington Red Devils took on the Arlington Spy Ponders in the quarterfinals of the Middlesex League tournament. Let's see what happened. In the first 2 sets, it was the exact same score for both opponents. Arlington beat Burlington in the first set 25-23, 1-0 Arlington. The Red Devils beat the Spy Ponders in the second set 25-23. Set score tied 1-1. Third and fourth set, Burlington beat the Spy Ponders with the exact same score of 25-12. Final set score was 3-1 Burlington.
Senior Marina Callahan was named the Boston Herald's Dream Team as an All-Scholastic. Marina will be attending Assumption University on a basketball scholarship in September. Congrats, Marina, on a great career. You can read the full article at our website under the news BNews Sports section at bcattv.org. Boys varsity football will face the Watertown Red Raiders on Friday, April 23rd at Burlington High School Varsity Field for their final regular season game. The team is currently 1-3. The game will be available on BCAT TV Facebook page. For more Red Devil action, go to the BNews Sports section at bcattv.org and check out our Twitter page at BNews Sports. That's all for your weekly sports report. I'm Liz Gillespie. Back to you guys in the studio.
We go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown for a look at this week's forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Gretchen Carey to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days, and here we are heading into the third week of April, and starting out our period on Friday, we're going to see again temperatures below average for this time of the year. We have kind of a chilly, gusty wind out there, and temperatures only in the lower to mid-50s, so it's going to definitely feel more like March than April as we head out there on Friday. Now, as we round out our period next Thursday, our average highs at this time of the year should be in the mid-60s, and it is actually going to be very close to our record high temperatures, I think, when we get towards the end of next week. It looks like we're going to have a real warm spell, at least for a couple of days, coming towards us here in the Burlington area. So that is some great news for those of us who've been waiting to see some real, almost summertime warmth around here in the Burlington area. And of course, we notice that the days keep getting longer and longer as we head further into spring. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us in terms of temperature and precipitation here in the Burlington area. And again, looking at our temperature map, it's saying that we're expecting about average temperatures. Now that's going to be true around the middle portion of our period, so starting out the work week, but it's going to be kind of chilly to start, but then very warm as we head towards the end of the period. As we go ahead and look at our precipitation chances, again, they're calling for above average rain, and that's going to be in the form of some pretty heavy downpours that we're going to be getting from a pretty strong nor'easter passing by to our south on Sunday. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at those 7 days of weather coming up. And again, starting out our period on Friday, a little bit chilly out there, but pleasant with the sun being out, a few fair weather clouds, temperatures only in the low to mid-50s. Again, chilly if you have to be out in the Burlington area at night, still keep that heavy coat with you, temperatures down in the 30s. But as we go into Saturday, look at this. A beautiful day out there. Temperatures in the mid and probably upper 60s on Saturday with some light winds, so really pleasant to be out there. And that, of course, comes ahead of a pretty strong nor'easter heading into our area again on Sunday with some pretty heavy rain, maybe even some rumbles of thunder out there, some strong gusty winds, and temperatures back down into the low and mid-50s again. And as we head into Monday, this is where our moderating trend begins. Temperatures going to be around 60, so about average for this time of the year. But look at this on Tuesday. Temperatures climbing up to near 70, and yes, that is correct, folks. Wednesday and Thursday, at least at the models I'm looking at right now, we have a large Bermuda high building in here for the latter portion of next week, and temperatures, I would probably say, are going to be near or above 80 degrees for at least 2 days next week. So that's something to really look forward to if you're looking forward to the really warm weather coming up. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your community calendar. Test your skills with a game of virtual chess. On Tuesday, April 27th at 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library is having a virtual BPL chess club on Zoom. Registration is required. For more info on the event, go to burlingtonpubliclibrary.org. Take a look at some creative crafters around the area. On Thursday, April 29th, from 4 to 8 p.m., Root Yoga in Burlington is hosting some local Burlington crafters. JV Malibu Shop, Kitty's Creative Cards, and Wooby's Whimsies will be attending. Everyone is welcome and COVID protocols are in place. Get rid of those household items. On Saturday, May 1st from 8:30 a.m. to noon, the Burlington Public Board of Health is hosting a Household Hazardous Waste Day at the Francis Wyman Elementary School. This event is for Burlington residents only. For more info on the event, go to burlington.org or call the Board of Health at 781-270-1955. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your community calendar.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo shows mixing two seasons can have fantastic results. It was sent in by Catherine Bond and shows some spring snow and a cherry tree in her backyard. The blooming flowers covered in snow is quite an idyllic scene. Thanks for the photo, Catherine. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your spring activities, a family trip, just everyday moments with family and friends, whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. And that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher for Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, Chris Flaherty, Peter Brown, Gretchen Carey, and Liz Gillespie. Thank you for joining us.